guidelines, are they not, do not have the force and effect of law in the sense of authorization? In fact, it's regulating the release of money to these organizations. So nagtataka lang ako kung bakit yun ang nasabi nung huling hearing. So I'm just, and you said they're still in force. So,
Sir, kasi nga po din sa under IRRA of RA 9184, yung pong GPPB circular, nakalagay po doon, where there is an amount earmarked for the implementation of the NGOs, they can enter into contract with NGO. So, kung paano makipagkontrata, yun naman po yung nasa 2007-001. So, kumbaga, kung meron ng na-earmark, ito naman yung guidelines. So, I guess they are related, sir.
Say something is earmarked, meaning there is a provision in the GAA, which in the General Appropriations Act, which earmarks the funds for a certain
yun po
PO
yung
or
nakalagay,
NGO.
yes, sir. Yun po yung nakalagay dun sa appropriation law earmarking an amount for the implementation. So, siguro po, merong naka-earmark.
So, base dun sa sagot ninyo, ma'am, Mr. Chair, yung GAA would be the law authorizing the release of the funds to the...
Parang gano'n na po.
Parang gano'n na rin ho.
And then, we also base that on the implementing agencies identified under the GAA. Wala naman pong in-identify doon na NGO as implementing agency. So, parang hindi, sa aming pananaw po, parang hindi siya talaga implementing agency ng PDAP.
I see. Medyo nakaklaro na ako, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Dito naman ho sa notification, ano ba yung mga COA circulars? Are they published in the official gazette in the manner of Republic Acts? Paano nalalaman ng mga ahensya? Kasi sinabi ni Asik Salakop kanina na hindi nila alam na meron palang ganung resolution or COA circular. So, I'm concerned going forward, Mr. Chair. Ano yung sistema ng pag-disseminate nitong mga COA circulars so our agencies, the implementing agencies can better conform to these circulars? Kasi kung hindi naman nila alam, halos wala ring silbi yung mga circular na yon. So ano po yung meron bang, is publication, for example, in the official gazette notice to the whole world? Ganun ho ba yun?
Pinapublish po siya sa newspaper of general circulation. And then after that, effective na po siya. And then I understand the auditors are giving copies of the circular to the agencies, and it is posted in the COA website.
Siguro
so pwede
we can
po silang
nasa website
yes,
ho?
sir, it is posted in the COA website.
Yeah, maybe, Mr. Chair, going forward, we can suggest that the Civil Service Commission make it mandatory to provide notice to, or even electronic notice to all the agencies of government. Diba? Dapat konektado tayo para alam natin ano yung proper procedures to deal with all of this.
Yes, Senator Angara. In fact, one of the things I see here is that there should be need for a massive information campaign by the government for everyone on the GPP, the Government Procurement Act, and all the other circulars of the different agencies. Thank you.
Yeah, and the last line of questioning, Mr. Chair, pertains to the NABCOR and CIREC. Kay nasabi ko kasi ng ating mabuting Secretary Kalihim, nakasamahan natin dati sa House, na i-dissolve, tama ho ba, Mr. Chair? I-dissolve ba itong dalawang GOCCs?
Secretary?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yung pong ZREC nasa advance stage na po ng pag-abolish, at yung pong NABCOR recently with the pronouncement of the President, inaayos na po namin yung legal proceedings at saka po yung pag-uusap po ng mga empleyado that will be affected by the closure of this GOCC.
Ilan pong empleyado ang mawawalan ho ng trabaho kung sakaling masara po yung dalawang GOCC?
Yung ZREC po ay kukunti po, 13 lang siya. 6 yung regular and 7 yung JO. Ang NABCOR po,
Ang sa NABCOR po, Mr. Chair, yung sa corporate namin, mga 60 po yun,
60.
approximately. And then, sa operation po namin, around 130.
So, over 200 employees between
Something-
the two corporations, Mr.
something like
Chair.
that.
Pero pagka ganong may severance pay naman ho sila under existing civil service rules, hindi ho ba?
Ang ano po namin kasi, registered po kami sa SEC. So we're complying with the rules of
The
SEC.
so the labor code, you would
labor
have to
code.
comply with the labor code on severance pay. But if it's our labor lawyer is the Senate President himself, no, who would know what the severance pay. But anyway, so anong mode of dissolution ho nun? You will file a petition for dissolution, or anong type of there are many ways of dissolving a corporation under the corporation code, no? I think there are 5 or 6 ways. So ano po yung plano dyan?
Nakikipag-usap po kami sa GCG para po sila yung mag-guide sa amin sa legal process.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm done.
Okay, Senator Angara. Next in the list is Senator Cynthia Villar. Okay.
Okay. I'm just, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just listening. Is it correct for me to develop this conclusion that there was no release to NABCOR and CEREX after 2010? It's only from 2007 to 2009.
Who wishes to respond? Ase Kumali.
Mr. Chair, yes, that's in the affirmative.
Do the director, there was no audit after 2010, so that cannot be confirmed by the COA. But so there was no release in CEREX after 2010. Yeah. How about NABCOR?
There was none, Your Honor.
So we can conclude that there were releases in the Department of Agriculture from 2007 to 2009, but there were no more releases after 2010. So is that the right conclusion?
Excuse me. I don't think that's right because you just mentioned only Xerox and NABCOR. There are other corporations under the DA.
No, there are only NABCOR and CEREX lang sa DA. The others are from other department.
Kanina po, Secretary.
Mr. Secretary, would you please enlighten us on this?
Doon po sa NGOs ni Miss Napoles, wala na pong doon po sa ZEREC at saka po sa NABCOR, sa GOCC po, wala na po doon sa
Ang sinasabi po ninyo,
Pero sa
hindi na ginamit ang DA ni Napoles
After
2010.
Pero meron pong sa Office of the Secretary po, Mr. Chair, ay meron pong nakita kami na isang nakalista na connected rin po, yung pong kaupdanan na Mangunguma Incorporated.
Saan naman ni-release yun? Through what?
Sa OSEC po, meron
Okay.
pong dito po yung inilabas namin sa media 2 days ago na pinavalidate po namin.
Magkano?
Ang na-approve po dyan sa kanya is 83.2 million but 44.9 lang po ang naparelease dahil nga po by tranches po yung aming isinagawang releases, and napuntahan po ito, na-validate po ito ng aming internal control. Yung out of 6 po, yung pong 5 ay na-confirm po na na-execute po yung lahat yung project. But yung pong kay Congressman Arnulfo Puentevella ng Bicol ay idinenay po niya at saka idinenay po ng kanyang Chief of Staff. Kaya ay nakipag-usap na rin po kami hinahabol po namin yung may letter na po kami at sabay po kami nakikipag-usap sa OSG para po siyang magdemanda.
Pero Director Susan, nakikita po natin na active pa yung Napoles organization hanggang ngayon, no? Until the expose about 3 months ago, di ba?
Yes.
So, sino nagiging paborito nila from 2010 to 2013? Pag gaya ng NABCOR from 2007 to 2009 at ZIREC, sino po yung bagong ninong nila sa gobyerno?
Hindi ko po alam kasi nga po ang kinover lang namin 2007 to 2009. So,
Wala ba
ngayon
sinabi
po
si
wala po
Ben-Hur?
kaming PDAF na audit
Ben-Hur
ngayon.
must have said something. Okay. Sige po. Thank you.
Senator Villar?
We just want to have an idea of what happened after 2010. Kasi it's unfair naman na dapat maliwanag sa atin what happened in 2007 to 2009 and what happened to 2010 to 2012. I thought na wala na sa DA after 2010 kasi yun ang sabi nung yung dalawang department head na wala na silang releases. Yung pala lumipat. Ano naman yung agency na pinuntahan?
Ma'am, diretso po siya sa, kasi noon pong 2010 nga po, nung pagka-upo ko po,
Oo.
sinabi ko po sa lahat ng attached agencies na dapat hindi magpadaan ng fee. Dapat, nung nag-aayos po kami ng budget for 2012, nasabihan po kami sa Kongreso na hindi kami pwedeng, as long as it follows the menu, hindi kami pwedeng basta-basta tatanggi. So, ang nangyari po, nagbuo po kami ng, yun nga pong committee, na nag-pre-accredit ng mga NGOs. It just happened nga po na
May nakita
may
kayo?
nakalusot po sa aming isa.
But after that, wala na.
Wala na po, isa lang po.
So, isa na lang.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
At saka kahit po nalasotan kami, worth 750,000 po yung hinahabol namin na hindi po na-liquidate.
750,000 ang hinahabol nyo out of what?
44.9 million.
Parang irrelevant na yon, di ba?
Hindi po, ma'am. Publikasyon po namin yan.
Anyway, yun lang. Kasi I think we're discussing here DA. So at least alam natin na from 2010 on, yun lang ang pumasok sa DA. Kasi we're going by department, di ba? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. The next on the list is Senator Ralph Recto. Senator Recto.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are three areas of concern. One would be the COA report, the DBM, and for our meeting today, the DA and its implementing agencies. Let me begin first with the DBM, as I mentioned earlier. Yusek Mario, thank you for being here. Magandang umaga, magandang hapon sa inyo.
Mr. Senator.
I understand that you are not a political appointee. So, naintindihan ko yung presentation nyo kanina at alam kong posibleng hindi mo alam nga yung vetting process when the document comes to the DBM. Di ho ba? No? Having said that, napansin ko in the COA report that the VILP and the PDAF for the years 2007 to 2009 is roughly 80 billion. Di ba? Dito rin sa COA report nakalagay na ang na-release is roughly 115 billion. Pwede bang malaman kung paano nangyari yun? How could, in these accounts, what was appropriated by Congress was no more than 80? Paano na i-release in these accounts kulang-kulang 115 billion? And dun sa COA report nga pala, only 38 of the 115 was audited. Yes. Would you have an explanation how that came about and what allows for that to happen in your technical experiences?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. In general principles, there is that provision of augmentation of funds in the General Appropriations Act, wherein deficiency in appropriations for a certain program, activity, and project can be augmented from savings. So, in principle, that's being implemented, in policy and so forth and so on. And that is also provided in the general provisions of the GAA, the policy of augmentation. So, I will
meaning to say that the authority to augment these funds come from whom?
it is the, in the case of the executive branch, it's the president. In the case of the Senate, the Senate President, in the case of the judiciary, the Chief of the Supreme Court.
Okay. Insofar as the VILP and the PDAF is concerned, sino ang pwede mag-augment? Ang Presidente, in effect.
That is the power of the President to augment. Mr. President
Okay.
could be delegated to
Meaning to say, even if the budget is only as approved by Congress, 80 billion, pwedeng maging 115, as in this case, in 7 to 9, or pwedeng 300 billion. Pwedeng mas malaki pa dyan, or even lower than that. Is that correct?
the constraint there, Mr. President, is the availability of savings to augment the deficient.
Correct. So let me get into the savings aspect naman. How does one know that there are savings? Isn't it that you only know savings supposedly at the end of the year? How does one account for savings? Is it done on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on a semi-annual basis? Paano ba nalalaman kung may savings? O di kaya, posible bang gawa-gawa yung savings? Meaning to say, hindi ko i-release ang pondong ito sa department na to, na sigurado magkaka-savings, at i-augment ko na kaagad itong department na to.
In the general provisions of the GA, Your Honor, there is the definition of savings. And there are instances where savings can be declared any time of the year. So it is not, you don't have to wait for the end of the year
Correct.
to declare savings.
So it could be done any time of the year on a day-to-day basis.
There are conditions, Your Honor, that stated in general provision, like there is the decision to abandon the project to for some valid reason to defer the projects, or there are positions that were left funded positions that were left vacant for some time, and this constitutes savings, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you for that response. No? This is very beneficial, our discussion today, is because we are also deliberating the budget for 2015 no? in a different committee. No? Now, in your opinion, Yusek, you've been in the department for how many years?
23 years, Your Honor.
23 years, no? There seems to be so many lump sum appropriations in the budget. The PDAF is a lump sum appropriation. Isn't that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And normally you have the special purpose funds, and then you have the special purpose and the unprogrammed fund.
Right, Your Honor.
And they are very big accounts, very big amounts. Diba?
Yes.
And the authority to release these amounts rests with the office of the President. Isn't that correct?
In the special provision of each special purpose funds, the conditions are set there who could approve the release. Like in the case of the calamity fund, it is subject to the approval of the President. The release from the contingent fund, subject to the approval of the President. Well, however, other funds can be approved by the Secretary of DBM, Your Honor.
By the Secretary of DBM?
Yes, Your Honor.
So there are funds in the special purpose and the unprogrammed fund na hindi na alam ng Presidente na, based on your response, that the Secretary has discretion over.
In this case, Your Honor, we submit regular reports to the President on the status of the whole budget, including special purpose funds.
Okay, so the President is informed. But in certain cases, a judgment must be made. But in certain cases, as you're mentioning today, the judgment can be exercised by the Secretary of DBM.
His judgment, Your Honor, is also circumscribed by the provisions in the special provision on the use and release of funds, Your Honor.
I understand, Yusek Relampagos. No? Okay. So you do not deny, Secretary Yusek, that for the period 2007 and 9, roughly 115 billion was released over and above what was appropriated by Congress.
Personally, Your Honor, I have not seen that figure yet. what
You've
you're
not
citing,
seen the
but,
COA report?
not in its totality, it's just the executive summary, but as I've said, as a matter of principle and as provided in the general general provisions of the GA, that could happen, Your Honor, through the process of augmentation of a certain
Yes.
TAP that is deficient in budget.
Is there any difference between the previous administration and this administration with regard to augmenting?
I think the law still remains the same on the process of augmentation, the
Okay.
conditions where you can declare savings and use realign it to augment items, Your Honor.
Thank you, Yusek Relampagos. Now, let me move on for today to the issue of the implementing agencies. And in this case, the DA and the two GOCCs at the very least. No? Okay. For the period in the COA report, for the period of 2007 to 9, roughly 1.7 billion was released to DA. That is what is mentioned in the COA report. Di ba? And it was discussed earlier, magkanong napunta sa ZIREC at magkano yung napunta sa NABCOR. Okay. In the release document of DBM, nakalagay ba dun yung ZIREC at NABCOR?
Your Honor, as I presented earlier, in the menu of projects that are qualified to be implemented, funded out of PDAF, we show there the list of agencies that can only implement these programs and projects, and ZIREC and NABCOR are not there.
ZIREC and NABCOR is not there.
found.
Who made the decision? So the release document was to the DA, in effect. Who made the decision that the funds to be allocated by DA should go down to ZIREC and NABCOR? Can we find out from the secretary if he knows how that came about? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, as I've been saying this morning, there are two documents that I've seen, and the letter of the legislator to the office of the secretary at that time identified ZIREC as the
So the
implementing arm.
legislator wrote to the secretary, requested the secretary to download those
To
resources to
ZIREC,
ZIREC.
together with the SARO number.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the secretary authorized by law or in the budget to agree to the legislator to download these resources to the ZIREC and to NABCOR? It's just a question. Can any of our resource persons tell us kung pwede ba yun? Or does the secretary have this very wide discretion on how funds in his office could be utilized? Meaning to say, it is posible din naman na, okay, kung ito, nagdesisyon yung secretary, ang dinadahilan ngayon legislator, maaaring totoo, na ilagay natin sa ZIREC, ilagay din ito natin sa NABCOR. What about the other funds in the office of the secretary? Could he also release to ZIREC and to NABCOR just like that? Or halimbawa, ibigay niya sa ibang, other offices in the Department of Agriculture? I mean, does he have that wide discretion? Yes. Just for our understanding, we're not pointing any blame. Gusto ko lang maintindihan kung paano ba ginagawa ito. Yes, Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, sa panahon po ngayon, hindi po ito kayang gawin kahit sekretaryo sapagkat naka-line item po ang lahat ng mga programs na pinoponduhan po namin. Isinusumiti po namin ito sa Kongreso at saka po sa inyo.
Secretary, hindi line item ang budget ng Department of Agriculture. At ito, linabas ko na ito during sa budget deliberation. In fact, the budget for the Department of Agriculture is 39 billion. Maraming lump sum items dito. Farm to Market Road, 12 billion. Hindi nakalagay kung saan pupunta, ano yung lugar na gagawin. I mean, malaki ang discretion Maliwa, 12 billion to eh. At marami pang iba dito. Meron pa rin ditong halimbawa, implementation of various projects, programs of LGUs, 8.3 billion in the 2014 budget. Kung kaya't nananawagan nga ako, dahil masyadong malaki yung mga discretion sa tingin ko, na mas maganda siguro kung ila-line item some of these amounts, no? But I agree that the President must have some flexibility also over certain funds. No? Yan, naintindihan ko. I'm just trying to tie it up to the budget process. No? To have a good understanding how it works. Yes. Please continue, Secretary.
That's the reason why, Mr. Chairman, as early as now, nag-aayos po kami. We are advised to have the budget as much as possible na wala na po halos yung lump sum. So, ina-identify na po.
So, in the past, ang sagot ninyo, in the past, walang rules. At least in 2007 to 2009, pwedeng mag-download ang Secretary. Halimbawa, in this case, to ZREC at to NABCOR. And probably they did other things also, posible. Diba? Oh. And because I believe in the integrity of this administration, especially of the President, na I'm sure they're finding ways to correct these flaws as well. Di ko ba? At kung kaya't siguro ang Secretary ng DBM, sinabihan kayo, kasi yun ang sinabi sa amin sa pagdinig, na as much as possible, i-line item na rin natin ito at nang sa ganon, mabilis din yung implementation. At mas malaki may tutulong not only for transparency, but mapabilis yung takbo ng ekonomiya natin to sustain your 7.5% growth, di ba? So we have your assurance now that, in effect, we are trying to fix this problem of so too much discretion, possibly, na meron dati as secretary, ng DA, ang DBM secretary, and in many cases in the past, I suppose, the President, di ba? And the legislators, for that matter. Tama po ba yun? Okay. Okay. Now, let me move on to the two GOCCs. These two GOCCs, ZREC and NABCOR, ano yung, let's start with ZREC. Ano ho ba ang mandate ng ZREC? Ano ba ang mission ninyo?
Sir, ZREC operates a 1,000 hectare rubber plantation in Tampilisan, Zamboanga, Sibugay.
Okay.
And ZREC, when I took over, had before I took over, had a use of fract agreement with the Zamboanga National Agriculture College.
Okay.
Who had in its at that time several hectareages of rubber plantation. And so in that agreement, we operated 1,000 hectares, but I would like to point out, of the 1,000 hectares, only 400 hectares at that time was quite productive. Most of the rubber trees at that time were nearing the stage of senility.
Okay. So yun ang trabaho ninyo?
Opo, that's the primary mandate.
Primary mandate, alagaan to 1,000 hektaryang ito, magtanim tayo ng rubber, so on and so forth. Okay?
Yes.
Ngayon, hindi ka ba nagtaka na nag-download ng pera sa inyong ganung kalaki ng 3 taon na para bagang walang kinalaman sa mandate ng tanggapan ninyo? Opo.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, in our mandates, there is a secondary mandate that we are allowed to undertake other agribusiness activities to include such livelihood projects
sa madaling salita, dahilan ngayon na yung secondary mandate naging primary mandate. Is that correct? That's how it appears to me. Ano ba ang mas malaking pondo ang nandun sa tanggapan ninyo? For your primary or your secondary?
Or we would like to believe that we were still implementing the primary objective of
Now,
running that
yes.
plantation.
As I said earlier, let me relate this to the budget. Napansin ko, sa mga budget nung nakaraan taon, 2011, 2012, 2013, may kopya nga ako dito ngayon ng 2014 eh. Okay. Walang financial statements na sinasubmit ang ZIREC at NABCOR. Kahit 3 years, balikan natin ang 3 taon, walang financial statements na ibinibigay sa DBM. Kung kaya't wala sa NEP, NEP. Meron ba kayong financial statements?
To defer to the current management.
But in the past,
Yes, sir,
am
we
I
had.
correct in saying that during, I don't know if you're part of the budget call, did you ever provide the DBM, like all the other GOCCs that I see in the NEP, nakalagay dyan at sa BESF, yung financial statements nila, ito yung assets nila, ito yung liabilities nila, ito yung net worth. Do you recall of submitting financial statements, balance sheets? Meron ba kayong financial statements sa website ninyo, halimbawa? Meron ba kayong website? Ito, nasa akin dito eh. Balance sheet of 5 selected. Where did I get this? From the BESF of 2014. We even looked at 2013, 2012, and the previous years. Not presented, no data available. Not presented, no data available. Magkano ba ang net worth? Meron ba kayong, do you have, in the top of your mind, meron bang, magkano ba ang net worth ng ZIREC? Maybe we can ask the current if he knows. Oh.
Before, when I transferred the leadership to ASEC Umali, if I recall, we had 6 million or 7 million positive in the bank account of ZIREC.
6 million.
Yes. If
Okay.
that's a ballpark figure, Mr. Chairman.
So saan napunta yung 3% commission, yung lahat ng tinanggap ninyo?
Doon po yun, nakapasok sa...
Kung 6 million na lang, hindi na gastos na.
Mr. Chairman, with the permission of Senator Recto, may I just ask for a clarification? The 6 million is what? Total assets, net worth, income?
Bank
Which
account.
one?
Cash in bank, sir.
Cash in
Yeah,
bank.
but that doesn't mean anything. What were your
Correct.
total assets and what was your net worth?
I
Can you
have to
submit
recall.
to Senator Recto your
to the committee.
financial statements for
To the committee.
07? Huh?
To the committee.
To the
If they can submit all these documents to the committee.
Financial
And may I
statements,
recommend
income,
to the-
balance sheet as of December 31st, 2007, 2008, 2009.
So ordered, ASEC Umali. Verbal response, please.
Your Honor, we will submit it to the committee.
Thank you.
But do you have, on the top of your mind, magkano ba ang net worth ng...
Your Honor, the cash in bank right now in a bank in Quezon City is 15 million.
Mm.
Balloon to 15 million. And
How do you make money? How do you...
we
How do you pay for salaries of employees? Do you get, aside from PDAF releases, I suppose? Kasi yan, meron talagang maliwanag, may releases, di ba? Okay. Meron ba kayong government support galing sa executive? Wala.
Your Honor, that is why, this is the reason why hindi po kami nare-require ng DBM because wala po kaming support from the national government. This is a self-liquidating and self-sustaining corporation.
Okay.
And ang operation po ng kumpanya is through the sales of the rubber.
It doesn't mean that is not correct. You are still required to submit to the DBM. That's why it is in the budget, in the BESF, all GOCCs. You are not part of the 14 monitored, na malalaki that can have an effect on the financial condition of the entire national government, maliit kayo, but you are required. And that's why I'm saying I recommend that you submit to the DBM.
We will submit, Your Honor.
That's assuming hindi kayo isara, di ba? Dahil kung isasara kayo, wala na talaga kayo sasabit. But I'd like to point that out, ha? Walang balance sheet, walang submissions, and it appears that most of your resources came from this, di ba?
Sir, at that time, sir, we had audited financial statements at that period.
Now, let me get to that. If you're talking about who audits your financial statements? Government. COA.
We have external auditors in COA, sir.
Yeah, you have an external auditor, and basically COA, di ba? Resident auditor. Okay. Question. Lahat ng government agencies, basta't may public funds, may COA resident auditor yan. Okay? Taon-taon, meron din kayong exit conference. Okay? Humaharap ka ba sa exit conference kasama ng resident auditor ninyo taon-taon when you were president?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Hindi ba nagkaroon ng findings in 2008 for 2007 and 9 for 2008 and 10 for 2009 regarding the operations of your government corporation?
If I recall, sir, 2007, very minimal. 2008, 2009, findings meron po.
When you say 7 minimal, what does that mean?
Minimal as compared to the findings.
So palaki ng palaki yung problema. Okay. So as president of this GOCC, bakit palaki ng palaki yung problema ng COA auditor dun sa resident auditor report?
Okay, sir. Some of the findings were procedural and some were the submissions of the liquidations. That is why, as I mentioned earlier, my next in line, the treasurer, communicated with the offices of the senators to let's put a stop to this using of ZIREC as a conduit.
I think, parang hindi maganda pakinggan na ginamit yung ZIREC or whatever that is. Now, but the point is, it is hard for you to just blame the legislator as well, ha? Maliwanag yung accountability, responsibility rin ng implementing agency. Ha? Mahirap na sinasabihan kayo, I would assume, ng COA taon-taon. Diba? Na sinasabi, uy, may problema tayo dito. Taon-taon. Di ba? Parang, there's something wrong. There. Would you say then that or better for me to just say or to request, could we have copies of the regular audit of ZIREC? Ano ba yung para makita natin yung findings nila? Di ba? Posible bang makakuha ng kopya ng audit? Kasi our office has been trying to look for these COA reports at hindi namin makita sa internet ng website ng COA na meron kayong website. Hindi namin makita yung COA report ng mga ahensyang ito tungkol sa mga audit findings taon-taon mula 2007 hanggang sa ngayon. Is it possible that we make a request from COA to be given to the committee, and I will request a copy from the committee?
Yes, sir. I will request the concerned director to provide you a copy.
Now, my line of questions for NABCOR are similar as far as their financial statements are concerned, as far as the COA audit reports are concerned. No? So I will no longer belabor the point, but the idea is to be able to get also these audit reports. No? Now, No, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. Okay. So the next point is there is an exit conference, di ho ba? Taon-taon, as I mentioned earlier, no? Okay. My next question now will go to, I'm trying to think of how should I deliver all these questions, because there's so many, and I'm sure that our time will not be enough, no? But I'm trying to get straight to the point here. Now, let's go to the representative of COA, Director Garcia. Okay. Paano nagkaroon, or let me start with this, no? Hindi ba ninyo napansin yung mga resident auditor reports ng COA, o napansin ba ninyo already ito, na may mga problemang ganito? At least for these two, since we're talking about the two GOCCs today under the DA and the DA mismo, so in this case, tatlong auditor yan. May auditor ang ZIREC, may auditor ang NAVCOR, may auditor ang DA, Office of the Secretary. Tama? Okay.
Yes, sir. They have respective auditors.
Correct. Okay, now, ang DA is one of the top 10 departments of the national government. Okay? May audit report din yan. Di ho ba?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tinitignan ba ng COA Commissioner yung audit report ng tanggapan ng DA? I'm sure tinitignan siguro. I suppose, no? Yes.
Siguro po. Hindi ka...
I'm sorry?
Maybe, sir.
So you're not sure?
I'm not sure, sir, because I am in charge of the Special Audit Office, so may kanya-kanya
Only
pong
the special
director.
Sige,
Yes,
let me
sir.
go direct to the Special Audit Office. Sige. Okay. Meron naman talagang resident auditor yan. Okay? Ano ang dahilan bakit kayo gumawa ng special audit? What is the reason for a special audit ba? How is it different from a regular audit?
Ang special audit po, sir, kung halimbawa, even previously, meron ng na-establish namin na medyo malaki na yung nagiging pondo sa isang project at hindi masyadong nako-cover sa audit kasi ang audit nga po is regular. I mean, yung regular funds ang nafo-focus nila. So, we focus, doon naman po kami sa mga hindi masyadong nako-cover ng auditor. Parang to augment yung auditor sa concern. Minsan naman po, nire-request ng auditor mismo na eto yung mga issues na hindi na namin makover. So, yun po yung aming ini-establish. Kumbaga, inila-line up in the audit. Or merong mga...
Hindi ho ba ang trabaho ng regular auditor, lahat ng pondo dumaan sa ahensya niyo, audit niya, hindi pa pwede selective?
Dapat nga po, kaya lang po, hindi naman nga po nila nako-cover lahat. Dahil
So,
minsan
kulang
po,
na
dalawa
tao?
sila, yes sir,
Okay.
oo. Kulang
Okay.
sila and then they are covering so many agencies. So, minsan po, talaga nagpapa-assist sila.
So, assistance, hindi special audit.
No, it
Di
is
ba
in the
naman
form of a special audit. I mean, kung meron silang malalaking hindi na nako-cover, and then i-request nila na magkaroon na ng special audit for that.
In this case, why did you do a special audit for these two GOCCs? What triggered it? Meaning to say,
Ganito po kasi yon. When we nung mag-audit na po kami ng PDAF, tiningnan po namin yung NEP. Kung anong agencies ang malalaki ang narilisan. So, kasama po ang, of course, DPWH for VILP. Sa PDAF po, ang malaking narilisan, DA at saka DSWD. And NLDC and TRC. So, yun po yung top 4.
Okay.
So, we covered that. Pag audit po namin ng DA, halos doon nila inilagay sa dalawa. So, we covered them.
Question. So, walang kinalaman yung regular audit in deciding
Yung agency po,
in deciding what you special audit ninyo. Meaning to say, you mentioned na talagang PDAF ang iniisip ninyo.
Yes. Yes,
Tama?
sir. Oho.
I would have thought that the regular audit would have triggered a special audit.
Hindi po. Yung po yung mga hindi, yung kumbaga generally na pag nagmi-meeting is napapag-usapan ng mga ASCOM na o yung particular fund na yon ang medyo hindi nako-cover ng mga agencies. So,
Okay.
yun po yung, and then may mga nababasa na sa newspaper na parang may mga problema. So, kino-consider din po yun in selecting the program to be audited.
Okay. What other special audits are you doing right now? Para alam natin.
Ngayon po, meron po kaming Malampaya funds.
For what years?
2005 yata, sir, yun to 2011 or 2012.
Okay. Okay. And then what else?
We are auditing po yung MWSS at saka yung dalawang concessionaires is a rate audit. At yun po, at saka LRTA.
Okay.
Excuse me
That's the
lang.
only one, huh?
Excuse me lang.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask, is the Malampaya Fund audit report ready for release?
Not yet, sir, because we are still waiting for the comment of the DAR and
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, after a regular audit is done, normally, so maliwanag din sa testimonya nyo, and let me use this for the budget deliberations later on, na kulang kayo sa tao.
yes, sir.
So I think we should really augment, Mr. Chairman. Maybe that should come out as a finding later on. Kasi napansin ko, very much delayed talaga ang COA audits din. No? Kulang kayo sa tao, palagay ko dapat dagdagan, as you are mentioning earlier. Halimbawa, today we're discussing the 2014 budget. Their audit reports, hindi kompleto, mga ilang agencies lang, for 2012, yung iba 2011 ba. So talagang palagay ko kulang. Posible ang tao ng COA na pwede natin dagdagan, I suppose, later on, so that it can help management, in this case, the legislators, in crafting the budget moving forward, di ba? Palagay
Yes, sir.
ko, hindi mangyayari to kung taon-taon na audit na mabuti at natitignan ng legislator yung COA report. Not to say that I agree with all COA reports and all COA interpretations. Dahil nakikita ko rin naman, paiba-iba eh. In certain instances, you say, depende kung sino yung auditor eh. Meron auditor na ito sasabihin, pag ibang auditor, iba rin yung sasabihin. I mean, you understand me, no? Am I correct, Director Susan?
Maybe po, maybe. But I don't know. I don't really know. sir.
Okay.
Because we are naman po guided by the guidelines eh. So,
Correct. But interpretation
dapat
eh.
pare-pareho.
Maraming
Maybe,
interpretation
sir,
na iba kasi eh. No?
Maybe,
Okay. So, hindi perfecto din ang COA. Naintindihan ko naman yon.
po.
But there is a need to have a strengthened COA. There is no doubt in my mind.
Yes po, yes po.
Okay? Now, at the end of a report, hindi ba meron kayong exit conference lagi sa mga regular agencies?
Yes po.
So, do you have exit conferences with the DBM?
Hindi. Yung pag-government-wide po kasi kami, we are covering so many agencies. So, ang ginagawa po namin, pinadadalhan namin kasi it's hard to schedule.
What do you mean by it's hard to schedule?
Ano po, yung mag-schedule ng exit conference dahil sa dami nga po nila. So we can cover all in a short time, mapadala namin sa kanila ang results ng audit. We are sending them audit highlights. Yung audit highlights po, nakalagay na po doon yung lahat ng naging observation namin. And then we are saying na should there be a need for a clarification, we can schedule an exit conference.
Correct, okay.
But then most of them naman po, sumagot na lang ng in writing yung explanation
Okay.
on the audit highlights.
In most implementing agencies with local government units, with many implementing or departments, I suppose, there is a one-on-one executive exit conference between the head of agency and the regular auditor.
Yes po, pagka
Diba?
po yun Sa regular audit po,
Oh.
if you are covering only one agency,
Correct.
nagagawa
Okay.
pa po
So
nila.
let me say, for example, para magkaintindihan tayo, and I'll try to wrap up immediately. DBM Secretary and the resident auditor, meron yan exit conference.
Yes po, meron po.
Secretary of Agriculture and the resident auditor, meron yan exit conference. In your own words, can you explain to us bakit mahalaga yung exit conference?
Opo, ang purpose po ng exit conference is to let the management know kung ano yung naging result ng audit. So in our case po, since we can no longer schedule, kasi po in this particular case, we covered 100
No, I'm not talking about this case. I'm talking about the regular muna.
Okay
Let's-
po. Ang purpose po is
ah.
to let the management know kung ano po yung resulta ng kanilang evaluation dun sa mga transactions na in-audit nila.
Correct.
Yun po ang purpose nun.
Correct.
And then to get their comments para kung meron silang mga documents na hindi pa na-submit sa COA,
Correct.
so they can further evaluate it
Correct.
and reconsider their observation.
And doesn't that help the management improve?
Yes, sir. Oho.
Di ba?
Yes, sir.
Para hindi na maulit kung may masamang nangyari or whatever, to improve its ability to effectively discharge its duties and its mandate and so on and so
Yes,
forth.
sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Okay, now, meron din kayong consolidated COA report dapat, di ho ba?
Yes, sir. The auditor of the Office of the Secretary is consolidating all reports under yun pong mga regional offices
Correct,
and all
correct,
that.
correct. Okay, now, what about a consolidated COA audit report for the national government?
We are releasing
Meron dapat yun, di ba?
financial audit report for national corporate and LGUs.
Oo.
And that is, I guess, due on September, sir.
Okay.
We're releasing that.
Okay. Now, wala kayong exit conference sa DBM with regard to, for example, highlights an executive summary of the operations of the national government? Meron ba kayong ganun sa DBM? Halimbawa, paano ginagastos yung mga unprogrammed fund, special purpose fund, PDAF?
I don't think so may
Wala
ganun,
kayong
sir.
ganon.
Oho, wala siguro. Kasi po
Okay.
yung auditor ng DBM, ang ino-audit niya yung disbursements ng DBM.
DBM lang.
Opo.
I'm talking now of the Office of the Commissioner. That's what I'm saying, because as a finding and understanding how this operates and my long years in government and understanding audits, both in the public and in the private sector, shouldn't we have a consolidated audit, a highlight, an executive summary that the COA Commissioner, halimbawa, every year we'll have an exit conference with the DBM Secretary and maybe even the Office of the President. Katulad yan, para malaman at mabantayan kung may mga problema sa iba't ibang department. Maybe you can start with the top 10 departments. The DPWH, the Department of Education, the Department of Agriculture, Department of Agrarian Reform, Department of Health. Di ba?
That would depend, sir, sa magiging policy ng CP namin.
Yeah, precisely. But don't you think it's a good idea?
Yes, sir.
Will that be of help?
Yes, sir.
You, Secretary Lampagos?
Yes, Your Honor, we will be very happy to have this on time because, as you have pointed out, sometimes the COA report is delayed and it's never useful for the next current budget. But while they may have also deficiency in manpower, we are developing now the GIFMIS. I think you're aware of that. And if we can already operationalize that, we can have more real-time data and timely financial reports and audit. But COA is on top of this GIFMIS project.
Yeah. Thank you very much for all your responses to all our resource persons. I do have many other questions, but maybe at a different time. I'd like to thank the chairman for his patience and to our colleagues. Maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the line is Senator Sergio Usmaña III. Serge.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Salakop, Natatandaan mo ba, when did you first join the ZIREC? Anong year?
Sir, 2003, 2004.
2003, 2004. Anong position mo nun?
I was director for agribusiness and marketing, assistant service.
When were you
Promoted.
elevated to the
Uh,
presidency?
2004 as assistant
2004.
secretary. Yes.
What was your official designation? That's a corporate structure, so you must have been president and chief executive officer?
It's only president, sir. That's
President,
it. That's the
okay.
title.
2004, and when did you leave ZIREC?
Early 2011 when the new management took over.
All right. In 2004, did you have any PDAF funds coursed through ZIREC?
None, sir.
2005,
None.
2006,
None.
2007.
Yes.
How much? More or less.
If I'm not mistaken, that was the first from a congressman, around 10 million.
10 million. Ngayon po, yung pagdating ng pera ng 10 million, hindi ka ba nagulat?
Well, sir, as an agribusiness practitioner, it was an
Don't
amount.
give me those answers.
Okay.
Here, you don't have any PDAF course through ZIREC. Then all of a sudden, you have 10 million. Now, siyempre, nilapitan ka ng congressman at sinabi sa iyo, what you
No, sir.
wanted done with this 10 million. All right, so what were you supposed to do with the 10 million?
I just got the communication that it will be lodged through ZIREC, plus also a communication from OSEC.
What were you supposed to do with the 10 million?
Transfer it to a non-governmental organization.
Ah, I see. So you were going to be the conduit.
Yes.
Okay. What was that non-governmental organization?
If it's that congressman, sir, then it's one of the Napoles, I believe, SPDFI.
I see. So it's already one of the Napoles
The only one that was coursed through ZIREC.
and the NGO.
Yes.
So all you had to do was receive the money, deduct your 3%, and cut a check for the NGO. Ganun ba?
With a lot of processes, with some processes, sir.
All right. Let's just generalize. What was the NGO supposed to do with the 10 million? Did you ask?
It was in their project proposal. There is a project proposal.
They submitted a project proposal to ZIREC.
Yes, in a work and financial plan.
And what do you remember of the
Sir,
project proposal?
I can't really, but it could have been some seedlings or distribution
Distribution of
of seedlings and planting materials. If my memory serves me right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Did you check whether they ever distributed seedlings and planting material?
We had a project coordinator who was assigned to do the validation, plus matching that with the
Did you
liquidation.
check if
Not
they
me,
had
sir.
done?
Not me personally.
Did ZIREC check?
Yes, the project coordinator.
So you assigned somebody to do it?
Yes.
And he must have come back and said, yes, they've done this before.
Personally, I did not see a report on it.
Wait. You have a certain responsibility. You've got the 10 million that you're supposed to download to an NGO, and part of your duties is to check the track record. Somebody mentioned that earlier.
Yes,
di ba?
yes.
Okay. So, chinek mo yung track record ng NGO ni Napoles.
Yes po.
And that NGO had already done projects like
Similar
that.
fashion, yes.
All right. Now, you were not required to conduct public bidding.
No.
Excuse me. Director Susan, does not the rules of COA require public bidding and the Government Procurement Act?
Yes, sir.
Pero hindi sila nag-conduct ng public bidding.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Salakop, having heard Director Susan, what do you say?
Sir, we had a legal officer who reviewed the processes and procedures, and it was not called to my attention.
We would like to meet that legal officer. He'll make a lot of money practicing PDAF law. Would you have the name of that legal officer?
He is a board member of ZIREC. At that time, it's Attorney
What?
Vero Librojo.
Ziproco?
Librojo. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is he still around?
Yes, he's still
Is
with
he
the
still
department.
With the Department of
Agriculture.
All right. Kilala mo ho siya, Secretary Alcala?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right. May we invite him to the next hearing, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, so ordered. COMSEC, please take note.
Is it not also a rule of COA that a performance bond must be deposited by the NGO? Mr. Salakop.
Unfortunately, as Senator Escudero mentioned a while ago, I'm not aware of that. So that's how I answered it.
Director Susan, don't your rules require a performance bond, or does not the Government Procurement Act require a performance bond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's two violations already. No bidding and no performance bond.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ngayon po, in the following year, in 2008, how much PDAF was coursed through you?
2008, sir, maybe around 80 million.
80?
Yes.
80.
80.
So, more congressmen?
That was the time that three senators came into the picture.
Was it the same project? The same NGO?
Yes.
Same project?
No, sir. It's the Pangkabuhayan Foundation Incorporated. It's not, well, as the media reports have been reporting, it's not part of the Napoles group.
Regardless, you checked out Pangkabuhayan Foundation?
Yes, we had the qualifiers implemented on them.
And what were they involved in? Giving livelihood
again,
projects?
there were some projects that...
Anong project? Anong klaseng
Sir,
project?
again, livelihood-based, distribution of planting materials, fertilizers.
Ganun rin?
Yes.
Okay.
I even saw tractors being distributed.
Tractors?
If I'm not mistaken, sir.
All right. Then in 2009, how much?
Another maybe 100 million. Because the total releases through ZIREC from 2007 to 2009 would be around in the ballpark figure of 230, 240.
So ZIREC made over 7 million just in its 3%.
That's why, sir, I was saying it's in the bank.
All right. Now, what about NABCOR? Kailan ho kayo nag-join ng NABCOR, Mr. Abellana?
Well, I joined NABCOR in the year 1994.
1994?
More or less, sir.
Almost 20 years ago. So you came up through NABCOR?
Yes, sir. But I transferred, I resigned, I went back to NABCOR. 20...
Ano pa yung activities ng NABCOR? How come you have a complement of what, 100, 150?
During my time, the core staff, the corporate staff is around 55.
I'm asking what are the main commercial activities of NABCOR?
We implement projects, agribusiness projects, such as we put up processing plant in the countryside for corn.
You've put up processing plants for corn?
Yes, sir.
Now, why would NABCOR do that?
We are into pioneering or missionary projects, or in areas wherein infrastructures are needed, such as this, and no private individuals are willing to invest in that area.
So it would be the secretary of your department that would assign such projects to you.
We propose that to the secretary for their approval.
Oh, you would propose it? And
Yes,
then
sir.
you would be able to obtain funding
Yes,
through
sir.
the national budget.
Yes, sir.
You don't have, do you have any ongoing operations?
It's the president, the past president, sir.
During your time, did you have ongoing operations like you were running 2, 3, or 4 plants?
Yes, sir. We have
Certain
running
areas?
around 19 plants, sir.
19 plants.
Uh,
What type of plants
These
were
are
these?
processing centers, sir.
I beg your pardon?
Processing centers. Corn processing centers.
Corn processing plants.
Yes, sir.
So these were in the corn areas in Mindanao, South Cotabato, North Cotabato.
Yes, sir.
All right. And you're still operating them to this day,
It's up to the president, sir.
Mr. Baniket?
Yes, Your Honor. We're still operating it until this day.
Now, what is the logic there? Why is government operating a commercial enterprise which can easily be done or undertaken by the private sector? I understand if you were going to
Yes.
pioneer it, but now that you've been in those places for some years, have you not decided to offload this to the private sector?
Yes, sir. That's basic strategy is for us to establish, operate it, train the local people, recoup our investment, then we divest it to our partners in the area.
Either to a cooperative that you organize
To
for
our
the
partners,
purpose,
because-
or your partners.
Yes.
So you have private sector partners.
Yes, sir.
Like who?
We have the LGUs as our main partners.
Okay.
So after we have divested, we can recoup our investment. Then
Kailan ho kayo nagiging general manager ng NABCOR?
2006.
Teka muna. There was a time when NABCOR was even bringing in cattle, swine.
Yes, sir.
Ano yun?
Our company imported cattle from Australia. Then we disperse it to sell it to the local feedlot operators.
Okay. Ngayon po, kailan ho kayo nagiging general manager ng NABCOR?
2006, sir.
2006?
Yes, sir.
Alright. In 2006, meron ba duman siya ng PIDAP?
1 or 2, yeah, that's sir.
Malaki, maliit, ano?
Maliit lang, sir.
1 million? Half million?
5 million, sir.
5 million?
Yes.
From one or from more congressmen?
1? Yes, sir.
Which one was that, Rhoda? Rhoda, you may speak into the phone if you remember that one.
Guimaras, Congressman Espinosa then.
Who?
Congressman Espinosa of Guimaras.
Congressman Espinosa of Guimaras? No, there's no Congressman Espinosa.
Edgar Espinosa.
Nakakala ko sinaba. Okay. Thank you. All right. What was the project for? Mr. Avellano.
The project was for farm implements.
Farm implements.
And I think partly...
And what was the name of the NGO? Or was it furnished by NABCOR? Did NABCOR buy the farm implements?
I think it's...
Hindi ko maintindihan ito because kung bibili ka lang ng farm implements, di order it directly through the DA. Bakit dinampas sa NABCOR? Did you download this to an NGO?
Yeah, to Uswag Guimaras Foundation.
I see. Okay. Ngayon po, in 2007, may dumaan na PIDAP sa NABCOR.
Yes, sir.
How much?
Only to Napoles Group or to...
No, everything.
Sir, I have returned the laptop. I think I need it.
You have it in the laptop. Laptop, please.
in the meantime, with the permission of Senator Osmeña, if allowed, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator Osmeña.
Go ahead, please.
You know, I noticed also, my staff just gave me this document as well, no, but I'm sure it is carefully studied. But having said this, in 2007, NABCO received 36 million. Huh? Okay. NABCOR received 36 million, not from PDAF. Not from PDAF. From regular government budgetary support in 2007, which went also to 3 foundations. There is also MOA, pero hindi kasama na legislator dito. For the Ginuntuang Masaganing Ani Support Services Program. Kapusot Kapamilya Foundation, Kalinga sa Kapwa at Kalikasan Foundation, Kagapay Magpakailanman Foundation.
But, Senator Recto, what were the sources of those funds? Government?
Government, not non-PDAF. There are many sources of funds in the national budget. May net lending na 27 billion. There's just so many budgetary support, no? Or from lump sum funds, basically. And then ZIREC din.
Maybe the Committee on Agriculture of the Senate can look into this more closely because...
In 2008, ZIREC received 250 million.
Who?
ZIREC? Yeah, Infinity Community Integrated Development Support Foundation. They released that to this another foundation.
ZIREC
250
was
million.
used as a conduit for another foundation?
For another foundation.
ZIREC, can you answer that, Mr.?
I recall that. It was in support of a rubber program. But it emanated from DA
Not
also.
condoms.
No, sir. No, sir. It was plantation and I believe production of seedlings.
Production of seedlings.
Seedlings, rubber tree seedlings.
Foundation. Why would they have to pass through ZIREC?
I have to review the doc, but I recall that that particular project.
All right. Yes, Ms. Mendoza, do you have the answers?
Sir, I want to correct something. When you asked me before that have we received PDAF in 2006, we received actually in February 2007, but the SARO is in 2006.
Go ahead.
So that I want to correct. And then Mr. Javellana said it is for farm inputs and implements. We have the project management office and it was spent to have the project management office. And we received not 5 million but 2,375,000 only.
You received 375.
2,375,000.
Okay.
So I want to correct.
And then, all right, and then the next year, how much did you receive?
Sir?
What about in 2007?
In 2007, all in all, we received 186,175,000.
186 million. And they all went to one NGO?
No, sir.
2, 3 NGOs? How many NGOs did it go to?
Wait, sir.
Dami, no?
6, 7,
10 NGOs. And then the following year, 2009?
The following year, 2008,
Oh, 2008. Go ahead. total and how many NGOs? Would you have the total amount? More or less lang.
In 2008, we had 752 million
752 million.
910,000.
How many NGOs, more or less? Rhoda? More or less.
18, sir.
80? 18.
18. More or less.
1-8.
1-8.
Thank you. And 2009?
uh, 307,685,000. That includes 2010, but it's
307 or 370?
307,685,000.
All right. That's to how many NGOs? More or less?
Mga ganun din. Mga 18 siguro.
18. All right. Thank you, Rhoda. You've been helpful.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Abellana, curiosity. In 2006, NABCOR was conduit for 2.3 million, one NGO. In 2007, all of a sudden, you got 180 million to 10 NGOs. Hindi ka nagulat?
But actually, we were surprised kasi nagdagsaan, sir, yung mga requests from legislators. Sir. And we asked guidance from DA kung lang gawin namin. So, I just implement it because that's being requested by the legislator.
And these were all requested by legislators?
Yes, sir.
And the DA secretary at that time was Art Yap?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the NGOs, did they all have similar activities? More or
it
less,
varies from
nagsusupply ng fertilizer.
It varies
planting
from the project proposal, sir.
Pero more or less, give us an idea what they did to merit such a large amount.
Well, they have these training kits, training projects for the farmers, some planting materials, sir, and farm implements.
Di ka nagulat?
These were all based on individual project proposals, sir. So, lump sum.
No, but you were not surprised why you, of all the agencies in government, were chosen.
Yes, sir.
To be the chosen one. Like Jesus Christ.
Nakakagulat din, sir.
Okay. And the following year, 752 million to 18 NGOs. Did you meet any of the operators of the NGOs?
They go to our office with the...
So nakilala mo sila?
Pumupunta
Lahat
sa
ng mga general manager?
Pumupunta sa opisina, sir.
Okay. And you discussed, you validated that they had experience, track record in undertaking the activities that they were supposed to undertake.
they submit to us documents and we examine it, sir.
Hindi. Walang kwenta yung documents. I mean, did you ever do any ground inspection? Either talk to the farmers they claim to have supplied planting materials to. Yung planting materials, binibigay mo yan sa mga magsasaka, di ba? Did you do that type of validation?
No, sir.
No. And then in 2009, you were conduit for 307 million also in PDAP funds. Nakilala mo ba si Napoles?
Yes, sir.
And I think I heard you earlier on, I was monitoring it on TV. You met her twice.
Yes, sir.
You met her when? In 2007, 2008, 2009?
Well, more is 2008, sir. That's
2008.
Yes.
So she must have been cornering a big part of the... But I heard you say that you went to her office.
No, sir.
She went to your office?
No, sir. We met at the Discovery Suite coffee shop.
Ay, yung sa baba?
Basta doon, sir. Yes.
I understand there was a coffee shop there or bar owned by some members of the lower house.
I don't know, sir.
Wala na yun.
Hindi ko alam, sir.
No, it was, but I think it started in 2001 and closed down by 2004 or 2005.
Yes, sir.
But that was the same building where she holds office, di ba?
I learned that may opisina sila doon sa...
Oh, so she must have invited you to meet her in the coffee shop. You were
Coffee
not
shop,
the one
sir.
who did. All
Coffee
right.
shop.
What did she wish to tell you?
No, the introduction to me was that she's a businesswoman and can invest in projects for agribusiness. So I briefed her about our office, our NAVCOR, about our projects.
Must have been a very credible person to have convinced you to meet somebody at a coffee shop.
Sir, madami na akong ka-meeting. We eat out, we do that, sir, usually. Sa mga kliyente namin, sir.
Okay. Give me the name of a few clients that you have had meetings that you convinced to invest with you.
Well, we went to Mr. Ang of San Miguel and made a briefing with him about our...
And he invested with you?
He planned to invest with us. That's why he
No,
sent...
I want to know about people who actually invested with you.
The actual people invested to us are LGUs.
LGUs?
Yes, sir.
So you were never able to attract any private party to invest with you?
No, sir. But we presented a lot to supply from the corn processing and feeds.
Ano?
A lot of what we call feed makers went to our plant to examine it and evaluate it.
No, but that's different. I was asking how many investors you were able to entice to invest with you, say, in a startup plant, which I presume you were doing, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wala.
Wala, sir. It's just the LGU.
That's all for now, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the resource persons for responding to their questions here today, but I'd like to reserve my right to propound questions at the next hearing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator Osmeña. For all the resource persons who are here, please consider yourselves invited for the next hearing, and especially those NAVCOR and ZAIREC former and present administrators, please be reminded about our directives for the submission of documentation. Until Thursday next week, this hearing is hereby suspended.
Ganito lang, di na ako. Lakas ng palo eh.
To the new experience, you can run your entire office. Not just the legislature.
Hindi. Dito sa likod.
Wala, namamasyal lang.